Tyler Brooks pressed blood-soaked gauze against the bullet hole in the woman's shoulder, while 6 armed men surrounded his Iowa farmhouse. She grabbed his wrist with shocking strength.
"They'll kill you for helping me," she whispered. "Run while you still can."
Tyler was 19, alone and terrified, but he'd made a promise. "I'm not leaving you." What he didn't know, this 71-year-old stranger bleeding in his storm cellar was the mother of America's most feared motorcycle club president. In 72 hours, 2,000 Hell's Angels would arrive at his door, and Tyler would discover the woman he'd been hiding had evidence that could destroy a presidential candidate. If you believe ordinary people can change everything, subscribe now and comment your city. Let's see how far courage travels. What happened next proves one farm boy can take down an empire. The explosion woke Tyler at 11:47 p.m. He sat up in bed, heart already racing before his brain caught up. That wasn't thunder. That was metal tearing through earth at 70 miles per hour, and it came from the north field where he'd just planted late-season corn. Tyler grabbed his boots and ran. The August heat hadn't broken even at midnight, and sweat soaked through his t-shirt before he'd crossed half the distance. His flashlight beam cut through darkness until he saw it. Orange flames reaching 15 feet high, black smoke pouring into the Iowa sky. The SUV had torn through 2 sections of fence before flipping 3 times and landing upside down. The corn around it was already burning. Tyler's first thought was drunk teenagers from town. His second thought died when he got close enough to see the bullet holes stitching across the rear panel. Someone had shot at this vehicle while it was moving. He dropped to his knees and looked inside. A woman hung upside down, still strapped in her seatbelt, unconscious. Blood dripped from somewhere Tyler couldn't see. The fire was spreading fast. He had maybe 90 seconds before the gas tank went. "Ma'am?" Tyler grabbed her shoulder and shook. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened. They were sharp, focused, absolutely terrified. "Cut me down," she said. Her voice was steady despite the blood. "Now." Tyler pulled his pocket knife and sawed through the seatbelt. She dropped hard, gasped in pain, but didn't scream. He grabbed her under the arms and pulled, dragging her through shattered glass and twisted metal. They'd made it 20 feet when her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. "Stop. We need to get farther from—" "Listen to me." Her grip was iron, despite her age. Tyler could see now she was older, maybe 70, with gray hair matted with blood and eyes that had seen things he couldn't imagine. "Are you alone out here?" "Yes, ma'am, but we need to—" "Don't call anyone. No police, no ambulance, nobody." She tried to sit up, failed, grabbed his shirt instead. "They ran me off the road. Professional killers. They'll come back to confirm I'm dead, and if they find me alive, they'll finish the job." Tyler's flashlight caught the zip ties still binding her wrists behind her back. Someone had restrained her before the crash. "Ma'am, you need a hospital. You're bleeding." "I'm a retired ER nurse. I know exactly how bad this is." She coughed, winced. "I'm also Dorothy Sullivan, and if you make any phone call in the next hour, men with guns will trace it and kill both of us." The SUV exploded behind them. Tyler threw himself over Dorothy instinctively, shielding her from the blast. Heat washed over them. Metal fragments whistled through the air. When he looked up, the entire north field was burning. "Your crops," Dorothy whispered. "Don't matter right now." Tyler cut the zip ties off her wrists. Her hands were purple and swollen. "Can you walk?" "No." "Then hold on." He lifted her. She weighed maybe 110 pounds, and ran toward the farmhouse. Every step made her gasp, but she didn't cry out. Tough woman, Tyler thought. Tougher than she had any right to be. He carried her past the barn, past the equipment shed, straight to the storm cellar his grandfather had built in 1952. The wooden doors were hidden behind overgrown grass. Nobody would find them unless they knew exactly where to look. Tyler descended the concrete steps and laid Dorothy on the old mattress his mother had stored down here years ago. He grabbed the first aid kit from the shelf, the same veterinary supplies he used on his cattle when they got injured. "Tell me where you're hurt." Dorothy was breathing fast, shallow. "Gunshot wound, left shoulder. Through and through, I think. Broken ribs, at least 3. Possible concussion. Lacerations on my hands and face from the glass." Tyler's hands shook as he pulled back her jacket.
The bullet had entered through her shoulder blade and exited near her collarbone.
Blood soaked her entire left side.
"I need to stop this bleeding."
"Pressure first, then clean it. You have betadine?"
"Yes, ma'am."
"You've done this before?"
"On cattle, not people."
Dorothy almost smiled. "Same principle. Don't overthink it." Tyler pressed gauze against both wounds, applying steady pressure. Dorothy's face went white, but she stayed conscious.
"What's your name, son?"
"Tyler Brooks."
"How old are you?"
19.
"Where's your family?"
"Dead. Parents died 2 years ago. Farm accident." Tyler changed the gauze, checked the bleeding. It was slowing. "It's just me now." Dorothy studied his face.
"Then you understand what it means to survive when you should have died."
"Yes, ma'am."
"Don't call me ma'am. I'm Dot."
Tyler cleaned the wound with betadine, his hands steadier now. His 4-H training kicked in. Assess, clean, close, protect. He'd stitched up cattle injuries dozens of times. This was just higher stakes. "I need to close these wounds, Dot. It's gonna hurt."
"I've had worse. Do it."
Tyler threaded the curved needle with suture material. His first stitch made Dot's jaw clench, but she didn't make a sound. He worked methodically, placing each suture exactly 1/2 centimeter apart. 9 stitches for the entry wound, 11 for the exit.
"You're good at this,"
Dot said through gritted teeth. "Learned from my dad. He said if you can save a calf, you can save anything."
"Your dad was right."
Tyler wrapped her shoulder in clean bandages, then moved to her ribs. He could feel at least 3 fractures when he pressed gently. Nothing he could do except wrap them tight to prevent movement.
"Dot, I need to know what's happening. Who shot you?"
She closed her eyes.
"How much do you know about politics?"
"Not much. I'm busy keeping a farm alive."
"Senator Richard Colson. You heard of him?"
"No, he's running for president. Clean campaign, family values, the whole act." Dot coughed, winced.
3 months ago, I witnessed him order the execution of a federal whistleblower. Shot him in the head, right in front of me. I've been gathering evidence ever since."
Tyler stopped wrapping her ribs. "Why you?"
"Wrong place, wrong time. I was visiting my son in Illinois. Colson was meeting with organized crime figures at a restaurant. I was in the private room next door for a retirement party. Walls were thin. I heard everything."
"So you went to the police?" Dot laughed bitterly.
"I went to the FBI. They assigned me a handler, put me in protective custody, helped me gather recordings, documents, proof. Then Colson's people found out. They killed my FBI handler 6 days ago, burned the safe house with him inside. I barely got out."
"And the USB drive?"
Dot's eyes snapped open. "How did you know about that?" Tyler pointed to her jacket.
The lining had been torn, and a small flash drive hung from exposed thread.
"It fell out when I was stitching you up."
Dot grabbed it with her good hand, held it against her chest.
This drive has everything. Bank records, recorded conversations, witness statements, forensic evidence. Enough to put Coulson in prison for life. Then we need to get it to who, Tyler? The FBI is compromised. Local police are bought. Coulson has people everywhere. Dot's voice cracked. I've been running for 6 days. They found me tonight on Highway 20, ran me off the road at 70 miles per hour. They think I'm dead in that fire. But you're not. Not yet. Tyler checked her pulse. Fast, but steady. Temperature was rising, probably fever from the bullet wound. He administered oral antibiotics from his livestock supply and helped her drink water. Dot, I have to ask. You said your son was in Illinois. Does he know you're missing? Dot smiled for the first time. James knows.
He's been looking for 6 days.
Can he help?
James is complicated. He's the national president of the Hellsangels motorcycle club. Tyler's hand froze on the water bottle. The Hells Angels. I know what you're thinking, but James is a good man. Former Marine, served 2 tours in Afghanistan. The club gave him purpose when he came home broken. They're his family. Does he know about the evidence? He knows I'm in danger. I've been leaving coded messages in online farm forums. We worked out a system before this started. He's mobilizing chapters across the Midwest, searching. Dot grabbed Tyler's hand. But Coulson's men will come back tomorrow to search for my body. When they don't find it, they'll expand their search. This farm is less than 2 miles from the crash site. Then we hide you better. Tyler, you don't understand. These aren't street criminals. They're ex-military contractors, trained killers. If they find you helping me, they'll murder you without hesitation. Tyler met her eyes. My dad taught me something before he died. He said, when someone needs help, you help. No calculations, no risk assessment. You just help. You needed help tonight, Dot. I'm helping. Dot's eyes filled with tears. You're just a kid. I'm 19. I've been running this farm alone for 2 years. I've delivered cabs, fought drought, survived foreclosure threats. Tyler adjusted her bandages. I can handle this. You don't know what you're agreeing to. Then tell me. Dot took a shaky breath. Coulson has 6 men hunting me. Marcus Vale leads them. Former Delta Force, dishonorably discharged for war crimes. He's smart, patient, and he's killed at least 14 people we know about. The other 5 are just as dangerous. How long until they realize you're not in that SUV? 12 hours, maybe less? They'll come back at dawn to search for remains. When they find the blood trail leading away from the crash, they'll follow it. Tyler's mind raced. The blood trail led straight to his storm cellar. He needed to eliminate evidence, create false trails, make this farm look normal. Can you stay conscious for a few more hours? I'll try. Why? Because I need to clean up the crash site, redirect any blood trail, and make sure if they search this property they find nothing. Dot grabbed his wrist. Tyler, listen to me. These men will torture you for information. They'll burn your farm. They'll kill you slowly if they think it'll lead to me. Then we don't let them find us. Tyler climbed out of the storm cellar and surveyed his property. The north field was still burning, but the flames would burn out naturally. There wasn't enough fuel to spread. He grabbed a shovel and worked for 2 hours, covering the blood trail with fresh dirt, creating false trails leading north toward the county road. He scrubbed blood off the grass with bleach and water. He moved his cattle to the north pasture to trample any remaining evidence. He positioned his tractor and equipment to look like normal farm operations. By 3 a.m.,
Tyler had erased every trace of Dorothy's rescue. He returned to the storm cellar. Dot was still conscious, but barely. "It's done. No evidence you were ever here. You're smarter than you look, farm boy. I grew up solving problems with what I had on hand. This is just bigger problems." Dot's breathing had worsened. Tyler checked her temperature again, 102.3 degrees. The infection was starting. "I need to increase your antibiotics." "Do it." He administered a stronger dose, elevated her legs to improve circulation, and covered her with thermal blankets. Her color was better now, but she was far from stable. "Tyler, I need you to understand something." Dot's voice was weak but urgent. "If they catch me, I'm dead anyway."
But if they catch you helping me, you die too. I'm 71 years old. I've lived a full life. You're 19. You have everything ahead of you. Dot, I'm giving you an out, right now. Hide that USB drive somewhere on your property and walk away. When James arrives, tell him where to find it. You'll have done your part. Tyler checked her pulse. 92 beats per minute. Too fast. I'm not walking away. Why not? Because for 2 years I've been alone on this farm. I wake up, feed cattle, fix fences, go to sleep, repeat, every single day. Tyler's voice caught. You ask if I understand what it means to survive when you should have died. I do. My parents died because the nearest hospital was 90 minutes away. They bled out on Highway 20 waiting for an ambulance that came too late. Dot reached for his hand. I couldn't save them, Dot. But I can save you. They sat in silence for a long moment. Above them, Tyler heard his dog barking. Short, urgent. A warning someone was coming. Tyler grabbed his flashlight and climbed the stairs, closing the storm cellar doors behind him. Through the darkness, he saw headlights approaching on the access road. 2 vehicles. Moving slowly, deliberately. They were here. He ran to the farmhouse, grabbed binoculars, and watched from the window. 2 black SUVs parked near the burned field. 6 men emerged, all wearing tactical gear and carrying weapons. One of them, tall, muscular, with a military bearing, directed the others with hand signals. Marcus Vale. Had to be. Tyler watched them examine the crash site, searching methodically. One found the blood trail Tyler had tried to cover. They followed it for 50 yards before losing it where Tyler had moved the cattle through. Vale pulled out a phone, made a call. Tyler couldn't hear the conversation, but the body language was clear. They knew someone had survived. The men spread out, beginning a grid search of Tyler's property. Tyler had maybe 10 minutes before they reached the farmhouse. He descended back into the storm cellar. They're here, 6 of them, searching the property. Dot struggled to sit up. You need to leave, now, before they find you. I'm not leaving you. Tyler, I've got a plan. He didn't, but he couldn't let her see his fear. Just stay quiet. Don't make a sound, no matter what you hear. He climbed back out, sealed the doors, and scattered dirt and grass over them. In the darkness, they were invisible. Tyler walked out to meet the men. Vale saw him first, raised a hand. The search team stopped. Evening, Tyler called out, forcing his voice steady. You fellas lost? Vale approached slowly. We're investigating an accident. Vehicle crash about 2 miles from here. You see or hear anything unusual tonight? Heard an explosion around midnight. Saw the fire in my north field. Tyler gestured toward the burned corn. Burned about 10 acres of my crop. I'd appreciate it if whoever crashed pays for the damage. Vale studied him carefully. You live here alone? Yes, sir. You call the police about the crash? Phone lines are down from the storm last week. Haven't had service in 3 days. A lie, but a believable one. I figured whoever crashed either walked away or didn't survive. Either way, I've got cattle to feed in the morning. Vale's eyes narrowed. You mind if we search your property? Make sure nobody's hurt and hiding somewhere? Tyler's heart hammered. You got a warrant? Do we need one? This is private property. I've been polite, but unless you've got legal authority, I'm asking you to leave. Vale smiled without warmth. We're just trying to help. Then help by getting off my land. The two men stared at each other for 10 seconds that felt like 10 hours. Finally, Vale nodded. We'll be back in the morning with proper paperwork. Have a good night, Mr. Brooks. Tyler Brooks. Mr. Brooks. The 6 men returned to their vehicles and drove away, but Tyler saw them stop at the end of his access road, just beyond the property line. They weren't leaving. They were watching. Tyler returned to the storm cellar. They're gone, but they're not gone. They're waiting at the property line. Dot nodded weakly. They'll watch all night. Make sure nobody leaves. Then at dawn they'll come back with a story about legal authority and search every inch of this farm. How long until your son gets here? James is in South Dakota. Even riding hard, he's at least 48 hours away. Tyler checked her bandages. The bleeding had stopped, but infection was setting in. She needed real medical care, antibiotics he didn't have, possibly surgery. We need to get you to a hospital. Not possible. They'll be watching every hospital within 200 miles. The moment I walk in, Coulson's people will know. Then I need to bring a hospital to you. Tyler spent the next hour gathering every medical supply on his property. Veterinary antibiotics, pain medication, IV fluids he used for severely dehydrated cattle, even a portable defibrillator he'd bought at an auction for $50. He set up a makeshift medical station in the storm cellar. Dot talked him through administering an IV, adjusting medication dosages for her weight and age, monitoring her vitals. You're a natural at this, she said. I just pay attention. That's all medicine is, paying attention to what the body is telling you. By 5 a.m., Dot's fever had dropped to 100.1. Her breathing was easier. Color was returning to her face. Tyler checked his watch. Dawn would come in 90 minutes. Vale and his team would return then. Dot, I need to know everything on that USB drive. If something happens to me, I need to know what I'm protecting. Dot pulled the drive from her pocket. Bank records showing Coulson accepting $15 million in bribes from a Russian oligarch. Recorded phone calls where he orders the whistleblower's death. Witness statements from 3 other people who saw the murder. Forensic evidence placing him at the scene. Why didn't the FBI protect you better? They tried, but Coulson has people inside the bureau. My handler was good, but he didn't know who to trust. When they found the safe house, Dot's voice broke. Agent Morrison died trying to buy me time to escape. I got out the back door while they shot him in the kitchen. Tyler felt rage building in his chest. And these men outside, they work for Coulson? Mercenaries. Vale's team has been doing Coulson's dirty work for 3 years. They're ghosts. No records, no accountability. Sounds like they picked the wrong person to hunt. Dot looked at him curiously. Why? Because they think you're alone. They don't know about me, and they definitely don't know about your son. For the first time since the crash, Dot smiled with genuine hope. No, they don't. Tyler climbed back out as the sun rose over Iowa farmland. He fed his cattle, checked water troughs, moved equipment. Everything exactly as he did every morning. Normal routine. Nothing suspicious. The black SUVs were still parked at the property line. At 7 a.m., they came. Vale approached with 2 men, all wearing friendly smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Mr. Brooks, we need to talk. About? The woman who survived that crash. We have reason to believe she's hiding on your property.
Tyler leaned against his tractor.
Only person on this property is me. Then you won't mind if we search. I do mind. You got that warrant I asked about? Vale's smile disappeared. We can do this easy, or we can do it hard. Tyler saw the gun under Vale's jacket, saw the other two men spreading out to flank him, calculated his chances. 0. If you're threatening me, I should tell you I've got cameras on this property. He didn't. And I called the county sheriff last night about suspicious activity. He hadn't. They'll be here any minute. It was a bluff, but a good one. Vale stepped closer. Listen carefully, kid. The woman who crashed is a fugitive. She's wanted for espionage, murder, and terrorism. If you're hiding her, you're guilty of aiding and abetting a federal criminal. That's quite a story. You got proof? Vale pulled out his phone, showed Tyler a photo. It was Dot, but the image had been doctored to look like a mugshot. Dorothy Sullivan, wanted by the FBI. There's a $100,000 reward for information leading to her capture. Tyler studied the photo. Never seen her. But if I do, I'll be sure to call. You do that. Vale handed him a business card. We'll be watching, Mr. Brooks. If she shows up, you call me first. Understand? Understood. The three men returned to their vehicles, but Tyler noticed they didn't leave. They repositioned to a ridge about 800 yards away, where they could watch the entire farm with binoculars. Tyler was trapped. He couldn't leave without them following. Couldn't call for help without them intercepting. Couldn't get Dot to safety. He descended into the storm cellar. They're claiming you're a federal fugitive. Showed me a fake mugshot. Dot nodded. Standard playbook. Discredit the witness, justify the manhunt. How long can you stay hidden down here? As long as I need to. But Tyler, they're not going to give up. They'll watch this farm for days if necessary. Then we outlast them. How? Tyler thought about his father's military training, about the stories Dad used to tell about Vietnam, about patience, about using terrain to your advantage. They're watching the farm, but they're not watching the underground. Dot sat up straighter. What are you thinking? You said your son is 48 hours away. We have a storm cellar they don't know about, supplies to last a week, and I know every inch of this property. Tyler checked her bandages again. We don't fight them. We hide. We wait. And when James arrives with his army, we let them handle it. That's your plan? Hide for 2 days? You got a better one? Dot laughed, despite the pain. You know what, farm boy? I don't. Tyler spent the next 12 hours establishing a routine. Every morning and evening, he fed cattle, repaired fences, moved equipment, all activities Vale could see from the ridge. He looked like a normal farmer doing normal work. But twice a day, he descended into the storm cellar to treat Dot's injuries, bring food and water, monitor her recovery. She was getting stronger. The fever broke on day 2. The wounds were healing cleanly. She could sit up without getting dizzy. You're a miracle worker, she told him during one treatment session. I'm just stubborn. No, you're brave. There's a difference. Tyler changed her bandages. Dot, can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you risk everything? Why not just let it go? Pretend you didn't see what you saw. Dot was quiet for a long moment. My son James. When he came back from Afghanistan, he was broken. PTSD, survivor's guilt, rage he couldn't control. The military just discharged him and walked away. No support, no treatment, no help.
The hellsangels helped him? They saved his life. Gave him purpose, structure, brotherhood. They're not perfect, Tyler. But they took care of my boy when the government that sent him to war abandoned him.
Dot's eyes hardened.
Senator Coulson stands on stages talking about supporting veterans, about family values, about justice. He's a liar and a murderer. I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Even if it cost you everything? Some things are worth dying for.
Tyler understood that. His parents had died protecting their farm, trying to save what they'd built. He was doing the same thing now. On the evening of day 2, Tyler noticed something wrong. The men on the ridge were moving. All 6 of them were gearing up, checking weapons, preparing for something. They'd run out of patience. Tyler ran to the storm cellar.
They're coming. Tonight. All of them.
Dot struggled to her feet.
Then you need to run. Take the USB drive and go.
I'm not running.
Tyler, they're professional killers.
And I'm a farm kid with veterinary training and a promise to keep.
Tyler grabbed her hands. I told you I wouldn't abandon you. I meant it.
Above them, Tyler heard engines approaching. 6 men with guns were coming to his farm, and Tyler Brooks had no weapons, no backup, no chance. But he had something they didn't. He knew every inch of this land, and he was about to make them regret ever setting foot on it. Tyler had 30 minutes before full darkness, and he used every second. He released his cattle into the front pasture, creating a living maze of obstacles. He positioned his combine harvester across the main access road, blocking vehicle approach. He strung barbed wire at ankle height across the footpaths he knew Vale's men would use. He flooded the irrigation ditches on the east side, turning firm ground into mud that would trap anyone who didn't know the safe crossing points. His hands worked fast, but his mind worked faster. 6 trained killers against 1 farm kid. The math was brutal. But Tyler had spent 19 years learning every depression, every drainage pipe, every loose board on this property. They were walking into his world now. He descended into the storm cellar one last time before the assault. Dot, I need you to stay absolutely silent, no matter what you hear up there. Gunshots, explosions, screaming, you don't move. You don't make a sound, understand? Dot grabbed his wrist with surprising strength.
Tyler, this is insane.
They'll kill you. Maybe, but they won't find you while I'm breathing. He pressed the USB drive into her hand. If something happens to me, there's a drainage tunnel that runs from this cellar to the barn. Follow it north for 200 yards. It'll bring you out near the county road. Flag down the first vehicle you see, and get this drive to your son.
I won't leave you.
You will if I'm dead. Tyler's voice was hard. Your son is riding here with an army to save you. Don't let my death be for nothing. He climbed out before she could argue, sealed the doors, and waited. The 6 men came at 9:47 p.m. Tyler watched from the barn loft as they approached in tactical formation. Vale led, using hand signals Tyler recognized from his father's military stories. These weren't amateurs playing soldier. They moved like men who'd hunted people before. Vale's voice cut through the darkness, amplified by a megaphone. Tyler Brooks, we know you're harboring a fugitive. Send her out and we'll leave peacefully. Resist, and we'll burn this farm to the ground with both of you inside. Tyler stayed silent, crouched in shadows. You've got 60 seconds to decide, Vale called out. Tyler counted down. At 30 seconds, one of Vale's men tried to cross the east irrigation ditch and sank immediately into mud up to his waist. The man cursed, struggled, sank deeper. It's a trap, someone shouted. Vale's voice was cold. Then we adapt. Marcus, Sean, flank left.
Rodriguez, Chen, take the barn. Williams, you're with me on the house. They split up exactly as Tyler had anticipated. The two men approaching the barn, Marcus and Sean, walked straight into the ankle-high barbed wire Tyler had strung across the path. Marcus went down hard, screaming as the wire tore through his shin. Sean tried to help him and triggered the motion sensor lights Tyler had rigged. Blinding white light flooded the barn entrance. Tyler used the distraction.
He'd positioned his tractor at the edge of the barn, with the engine running and the transmission in neutral. He released the brake. 3 tons of machinery rolled forward, forcing Marcus and Sean to scatter or be crushed. "He's armed!" Sean yelled, firing his weapon toward the barn. Tyler was already gone, slipping through the back exit he'd used since childhood. Vale's voice crackled over their radios. "Status. Target is mobile and setting traps. Marcus is injured. We need to regroup." "Negative. Maintain pressure. He's just a kid. He'll make a mistake." But Tyler wasn't making mistakes. He was fighting the only way he knew how. Smart, not hard. He circled around to where Vale and Williams were approaching the farmhouse. Tyler had spent 2 hours that afternoon rigging propane tanks around the property perimeter. He wasn't trying to kill anyone. Just scare them, slow them down, buy time. He picked up a rock and threw it at the nearest propane tank. The explosion lit up the night sky. Williams dove for cover. Vale didn't flinch, but Tyler saw him reassess. This farm kid was more dangerous than expected. Tyler's radio, the one he'd taken from his father's military gear, crackled to life. He'd been monitoring their frequency for the past hour. Vale's voice. "He's got limited resources. We've got 6 men, night vision, superior firepower. Spread out, cut off his escape routes, and flush him toward the house. This ends tonight." Tyler ran toward the cattle pasture. His 60 head of beef cattle were already agitated from the explosions. He opened the gate and stampeded them directly toward Rodriguez and Chen. The 2 men scrambled to avoid being trampled. Rodriguez fired into the air, trying to turn the herd. It didn't work. 1,200 pounds of panicked cattle didn't care about guns. That was 3 men neutralized or delayed. 3 still hunting. Tyler circled back to check the storm cellar. The doors were still hidden, undisturbed. Dot was safe. For now. His radio crackled again. "Vale to all units. The kid's smart, but he's protecting something. Search pattern Alpha. Check every structure. If you find the woman, signal immediately." Tyler's heart hammered. They were getting systematic. He made a decision. The best defense was making them think he was somewhere he wasn't. Tyler grabbed the megaphone from his barn office. "You want me, Vale? Come get me. I'm in the north field near the crashed SUV. Alone. Just you and me. Or are you too scared to face a farm kid without your entire team?" It was a desperate gamble. Either Vale would take the bait and Tyler could lead him away from Dot, or Vale would see through it and intensify the search. Vale's response came 30 seconds later. "Nice try, kid, but I don't take orders from dead men walking." The assault intensified. Williams approached the barn from the west. Tyler had prepared for this, too. He'd rigged the barn door with his father's old truck horn. The moment Williams pulled it open, 120 decibels of sound blasted directly into his face. Williams staggered back, disoriented. Tyler hit him with the irrigation hose at full pressure. Not deadly, but enough to knock a grown man off his feet. Williams went down hard, slipping in mud Tyler had deliberately created. "Williams is down!" someone shouted into the radio. Vale's voice was tight with anger now. "Regroup at the vehicles. New plan." Tyler watched from the darkness as the 6 men gathered near their SUVs just beyond his property line. They were arguing. Vale was pointing at a map, redistributing assignments. They'd underestimated Tyler, and now they were recalibrating.
Tyler used the lull to check on Dot. He descended into the storm cellar, breathing hard. "You okay?" Dot was sitting up, pale but alert. "I heard explosions, and cattle, and someone screaming." "I'm slowing them down." Tyler checked her bandages. No fresh bleeding. Pulse was steady. But they're not giving up. "Tyler, you need to understand something about Marcus Vale. He doesn't fail. Ever. The more you resist, the more brutal he'll get." "Then I better keep surprising him." Dot grabbed his hand. "Listen to me. Vale once tracked a target for 11 days through the Afghan mountains. He's patient, methodical, and completely ruthless. This isn't going to end until one of you is dead." "How long until your son gets here?" Dot checked her watch. 36 hours, maybe less. James was in Rapid City last I knew. If he's riding straight through..." "Can you contact him? Tell him to hurry." "The coded messages I've been leaving, he'll see them. But I can't send anything new without internet access." Tyler thought fast. "My laptop is in the farmhouse. If I can get to it without Vale seeing..." "Too risky. They're watching the house." "Then I create a distraction." Tyler spent the next 20 minutes preparing. He moved his tractor to the south field, set it on autopilot, and let it drive in circles with the lights on. From a distance, it would look like someone was operating it. While Vela's team focused on the tractor, Tyler slipped into his farmhouse through the basement entrance his grandfather had built during the Cold War. He grabbed his laptop, logged into the farm forum Dot had been using, and handed it to her. "Post your message. Make it fast." Dot's fingers flew across the keyboard. To anyone else, her post looked like a discussion about corn yields and fertilizer ratios. But Tyler watched her embed coordinates, timestamps, and the word urgent in agricultural code. "Done. James will see this within the hour." "What did you tell him?" "That I'm alive, I'm safe, and I need extraction in 36 hours. I gave him your exact coordinates." Tyler felt relief wash over him. "So we just need to survive until..." The window exploded inward. Glass sprayed across the room. Tyler threw himself over Dot, shielding her. A canister bounced across the floor, spewing thick white smoke. "Tear gas!" Dot choked out. Tyler grabbed her, half carrying her toward the basement stairs. His eyes burned, throat seized. They tumbled down the steps together, gasping. Above them, Tyler heard boots on the wooden floor. Vale's voice. "Search every room. She's here somewhere." Tyler and Dot crawled through the basement to the tunnel entrance. The old drainage pipe his grandfather had installed ran from the house to the barn. Tight, dark, claustrophobic. Tyler pushed Dot in first. "Go! I'll cover our tracks." Dot disappeared into the tunnel. Tyler sealed the entrance behind a false wall, scattered boxes and old furniture to hide it, then escaped through the basement's exterior door just as Vale's men came down the stairs. He could hear them tearing apart his house, ripping up floorboards, kicking in doors, searching. Tyler ran to the barn. Dot emerged from the tunnel, covered in dirt and cobwebs, breathing hard. "They're destroying your home," she whispered. "Don't care. Are you hurt?" "No, but Tyler, they're not leaving. Even if we hide until James arrives, what's to stop them from burning everything?" "Me. I'm what's stopping them." Tyler climbed to the barn loft and watched Vale's team emerge from the farmhouse empty-handed. Vale's face was twisted with rage. "Burn it," Vale said into his radio. "Burn the house, burn the barn, burn everything. If she's hiding here, we flush her out. If she's not, we send a message about what happens when you help fugitives." Rodriguez pulled out a container of gasoline. Tyler's world narrowed to that single moment. They were going to destroy everything his parents had built, everything he'd fought to keep. His home, his history, his life. He grabbed his hunting rifle, the one his father had taught him to shoot when he was 12.
It hadn't been fired in 2 years, but Tyler kept it clean and loaded. He wasn't trying to kill anyone, just stop them. Tyler fired one shot into the air. The crack echoed across the farm. Vale's team scattered, taking cover. Vale himself smiled.
"Finally showing teeth, farm boy?" Vale called out. "You ready to negotiate, or do we do this the hard way?"
Tyler's voice was steady. "You're not burning my farm."
"Then give us the woman."
"She's not here."
"Liar."
"Search all you want. She ran 2 days ago. You're wasting your time."
Vale laughed. "You're a terrible liar, kid. We found blood trails in your basement, fresh bandages in your trash. You've been treating someone." Tyler's mind raced. The trash. He'd forgotten about the bloody bandages from Dot's treatments.
"I cut myself fixing equipment. Happens all the time on a farm."
"Right. And I suppose that's why you've been making trips to your storm cellar every 6 hours?"
Tyler's blood went cold. They'd been watching more closely than he realized. "I store supplies down there." "Then you won't mind if we check it out." Vale started walking toward the area where Tyler had hidden the cellar doors. Rodriguez and Chen followed, weapons ready. Tyler fired another warning shot, this time closer.
"That's far enough." Vale stopped. "You shoot me, kid, and my team will make you watch while we burn everything you love. Then we'll kill you slow. You kill me, and you never find her. I'm the only one who knows where she is."
Vale considered this.
"So you admit you know where she is?"
Tyler had walked right into that trap.
"I admit nothing. I'm saying hypothetically, if she were here, only I would know where. You kill me, you lose your only lead."
Vale nodded slowly.
"Smart. Okay, new deal. You bring her to us, we leave peacefully. Nobody gets hurt. You keep your farm, we get what we came for. Everybody wins. Except Dot, who you'll murder the second I hand her over."
"Dot?" Vale's eyes lit up.
"So you do know her. You've been talking to her. She told you her name."
Tyler cursed internally. He was 19 years old, exhausted, terrified, and going up against a professional interrogator. Every word was a potential trap. "I don't know anyone named Dot."
"Sure you don't."
Vale pulled out his phone, showed Tyler something.
"Recognize this?"
It was a photo. Dot's photo. Next to it, a photo of James Sullivan in full Hell's Angels colors.
"Dorothy Sullivan, mother of James Reaper Sullivan, national president of the Hell's Angels. You know what that means, farm boy? It means you're harboring the matriarch of the most dangerous motorcycle club in America. When they find out you helped her, they'll be very grateful. When they find out you let her die, they'll burn you alive."
Tyler's throat went dry. Vale continued, voice smooth.
"Here's what's going to happen. You're going to bring Dorothy to us.
We're going to take her somewhere quiet and finish what we started. And you're going to forget this ever happened. Because if you don't, if you try to play hero, James Sullivan will spend the rest of his life hunting you for letting his mother die on your watch." "Or," Tyler said carefully, "James Sullivan is already hunting you for trying to kill her in the first place." Vale's smile disappeared.
"What did you say?"
"Dot's been in contact with her son. He knows she's alive. He knows she's here. And he's coming with every chapter within 500 miles. It was a bluff based on Dot's forum post, but Tyler sold it with everything he had." Vale's eyes narrowed.
"You're lying."
"Am I? How long has it been since you last checked in with Coulson? How's his presidential campaign doing now that word is spreading about a certain USB drive?" Vale pulled out his phone, made a call.
30 seconds later, his face went white. "What do you mean, investigate? We're handling it."
Vale listened, his jaw clenching. "Sir, if Sullivan mobilizes the club—" "Yes, sir, understood." He hung up, looked at his team. "Coulson wants us to extract the target immediately and eliminate all witnesses. Presidential debate is in 48 hours. We need this contained." Sean spoke up. "If the hellsangels are really coming—" "They're not," Vale snapped. "The kid's bluffing. No way Sullivan knows she's here yet." But Tyler could see doubt in their faces. He pressed the advantage. "You've been hunting Dot for 6 days. You thought she died in that crash. But she didn't. She survived. I found her. And I've kept her alive while your team sat on a ridge watching and waiting. How long before you think James Sullivan figures out his mother is on a farm in Iowa? How long before 2,000 bikers show up wanting answers?" Rodriguez shifted nervously. "Vale, maybe we should reconsider—" "Shut up!" Vale's voice was ice. "New plan. We take the farm by force. Right now. All of us. We find the woman, we eliminate the kid, we burn the evidence, and we're gone before sunrise." Chen pulled out his weapon. "What about the Hells Angels?" "By the time they get here, there won't be anything to find except ashes." The 6 men advanced in formation. Tyler had run out of tricks. No more distractions, no more traps. Just him, a single rifle, and 6 professional killers who'd decided he was already dead. He looked toward the hidden storm cellar where Dot was listening to every word. He'd promised to keep her safe. He'd promised not to abandon her. Tyler Brooks raised his rifle. "I'm sorry, Dad," he whispered. "I tried." The first shot shattered his barn window. Tyler ducked, returned fire. Glass exploded, wood splintered. The night erupted into chaos. Tyler was outgunned, outnumbered, and out of time. Then he heard it. A sound that started like distant thunder but grew louder, deeper, more powerful with every passing second. Not from the north or south or east, from everywhere at once. The ground began to vibrate. Vale heard it too. He froze, cocked his head, listened. The sound built to a roar. From the horizon, headlights appeared, hundreds of them, motorcycles converging on Tyler's farm in perfect formation. Vale's face went from confident to terrified in the span of 3 seconds. "How?" he started. Tyler lowered his rifle and smiled. "I told you. She contacted her son. You just didn't want to believe me." The motorcycles surrounded the property in a massive circle. 2,000 riders, engines rumbling in perfect synchronization, headlights creating daylight. Leading them was a man who looked like he'd ridden out of a nightmare. 6'3", 240 pounds of muscle and scars, wearing full Hells Angels colors. His face was carved from stone, his eyes burning with controlled rage. James Reaper Sullivan had arrived, and he'd brought an army. James Sullivan killed his engine. 2,000 motorcycles went silent in perfect unison. The sudden quiet was more terrifying than the roar had been. Vale's hand moved toward his weapon. 20 bikers raised rifles in response. Vale froze. James dismounted slowly, deliberately. He walked through his own ranks like Moses parting the Red Sea, every man stepping aside with military precision. His boots crunched on gravel. His face was unreadable. He stopped 10 feet from Vale. "Marcus Vale." James's voice was desert sand and broken glass. "Former Delta Force. Dishonorably discharged in 2019 for executing unarmed civilians in Kandahar. Currently employed by Senator Richard Coulson as a professional killer. That about sum it up?" Vale's jaw tightened. I don't know what you're talking about. No? James pulled out his phone, played a recording. Vale's own voice. We take the farm by force. We find the woman. We eliminate the kid. We burn the evidence. Vale's face went white. Where did you get that? Intercepted your radio frequency 40 minutes ago. We've been listening to everything. James stepped closer. You tried to murder my mother. You failed. You came to this farm to finish the job. You failed again. And now you're surrounded by 2,000 very angry men who want to know exactly where Dorothy Sullivan is. She's not here. James looked past Vale to Tyler, who still stood in the barn loft with his rifle. You the farm kid? Tyler's voice cracked. Yes, sir. Tyler Brooks. You the one who found my mother? Yes, sir. She alive? Tyler nodded. She's safe. I've been treating her injuries. She's going to be okay. James closed his eyes, and for just a moment the hardened biker looked like a son who'd been terrified of losing his mother. When he opened them again, his voice was thick with emotion. Where is she? Tyler climbed down from the loft, never taking his eyes off Vale's team. He walked to the storm cellar, cleared away the camouflage, and opened the doors. Dot emerged, filthy and injured, but alive. James, she said. Just his name, nothing else. James covered the distance in 4 strides and caught her as her legs gave out. He held his mother like she was made of glass, his massive frame shaking with silent sobs. Mom. Jesus Christ, Mom, I thought... I know, baby. I know. Dot's voice was steady despite her tears. But I'm okay. This boy saved me. 5 days, James. Against all 6 of them. He kept me alive. James looked over Dot's shoulder at Tyler, and his eyes held something between gratitude and disbelief. You did this? Alone? Tyler nodded, suddenly aware of how young he was compared to everyone around him. I couldn't just let her die. How old are you? 19. James's expression shifted. 19. You're 19 years old, and you went up against Marcus Vale and his death squad for 5 days? I didn't know who they were when I started. By the time I figured it out, I'd already made a promise. Dot pulled back from James, grabbed Tyler's hand. He stitched my gunshot wound with veterinary supplies, hid me when they searched the property, risked his life over and over. He's the reason I'm alive. James studied Tyler with new eyes. What's your name again? Tyler Brooks, sir. Stop calling me sir. I work for a living. James extended his hand. Thank you for protecting my mother, Tyler. I owe you everything. They shook hands. Tyler felt calluses that matched his own, working hands that knew labor and pain. Vale's voice cut through the moment. This is all very touching, but you're holding me against my will. That's kidnapping. I'll have federal charges. James turned, and the temperature dropped 20 degrees. You tried to murder my mother. You threw her out of a moving vehicle at 70 miles per hour. You shot her, tied her up, and left her to die. I have no idea what you're talking about. Dot, you want to verify that's one of the men who kidnapped you? Dot looked at Vale with eyes that had seen too much. That's him. He was driving the SUV. He's the one who pulled the trigger. James's hand moved to his belt. 20 bikers stepped forward. Wait! Tyler's voice stopped everyone. Don't! James looked at him sharply. Don't what? Don't kill him. Not like this. Tyler's heart hammered, but he held James's gaze. Your mom survived because she had evidence. A USB drive with proof that Senator Colson is a murderer. If you kill Vale now,
You become the story. Coulson walks free, and everything Dot went through was for nothing.
James processed this. So what do you suggest?
We call the state police. We hand over Vale and his team with the evidence. We let the legal system destroy Coulson. Tyler's voice strengthened.
Your mom didn't survive being shot and thrown from a car just to watch you throw away your freedom on scum like Vale. Dot squeezed Tyler's hand.
The boy's right, James. I didn't come this far to watch you go to prison.
James was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right. We do it legal. He pulled out his phone, dialed. This is James Sullivan. I need state police, FBI, and U.S. Marshals at the following coordinates. I'm reporting attempted murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit murder involving a U.S. senator. Yes, I'll hold. Vale laughed bitterly. You think this is over? Coulson has people everywhere. FBI, local police, even your precious marshals. You hand me in, I'll be released in 48 hours. Maybe, James said. But we'll have documented everything. And when that USB drive goes public, your boss is done.
That drive doesn't prove anything.
Dot pulled the USB from her pocket.
It proves Coulson accepted $15 million in bribes.
It proves he ordered a federal whistleblower executed. It proves you and your team have killed 14 people on his orders. She held it up. This little drive is going to destroy his presidential campaign and put him in prison for life. Rodriguez, one of Vale's men, broke. I want immunity. I'll testify. I'll tell them everything. Shut your mouth, Vale snapped. No. Rodriguez stepped away from his team. I'm done, Marcus. I didn't sign up to kill old ladies. I didn't sign up for life in prison. I'll cooperate fully in exchange for witness protection. Chen followed. Me too. I'm out. Vale's team was fracturing in real time. Williams spoke up. Vale, Coulson's not worth dying for. The kid's right. If this goes public, we're all dead anyway. Better to cut a deal now. Vale's control was slipping. You cowards. All of you. James's phone conversation finished. Police are en route. ETA 20 minutes. We sit tight until then. But Tyler saw something in Vale's expression. A desperation that made his skin crawl. A cornered animal was most dangerous right before it died. James, Tyler said quietly. Watch him. Vale moved fast. He grabbed Dot, pulled her against his chest, and pressed a knife to her throat. The motion was so quick nobody could react in time. Back off, Vale screamed. All of you! Back off or I cut her throat! 2,000 bikers raised weapons. James froze, hands up. Easy, Vale, easy. Let her go and we can talk about this. Talk! Vale laughed, high and manic. You think I'm stupid? The second I let her go, I'm dead. Your men will tear me apart. Not if I give my word. You release my mother, I guarantee safe transport to police custody. You'll live to see trial. Your word means nothing. Dot's voice was steady, despite the blade at her throat. Marcus, think about this. You kill me, this drive still exists. Tyler has copies. James has copies. Coulson's finished regardless. But if you kill me, you lose the only bargaining chip you have. The only bargaining chip I need is your life. Your son won't risk losing you. Tyler saw an opportunity. He still held his rifle. The range was 30 yards. He was a decent shot, but not good enough to risk hitting Dot if he missed. But he didn't need to shoot Vale. He just needed to distract him. Tyler fired into the air. Vale flinched, turning toward the sound.
James moved like lightning, covering the distance and slamming into Vale before the knife could cut. They went down together. James got the knife away, pinned Vale face first into the dirt. Two bikers rushed in with zip ties. Dot stumbled backward, gasping. Tyler caught her. "You okay?" "I'm okay." She was shaking now, the adrenaline catching up. "I'm okay." James hauled Vale to his feet, handed him to two massive bikers who looked like they crushed cars for fun. "Hold him until the police arrive. If he twitches wrong, break something." Vale spat blood. "This isn't over, Sullivan. Coulson has resources you can't imagine. He'll make this disappear. He'll make all of you disappear." James got in his face. Senator Coulson is giving a presidential debate in 48 hours. In 47 hours, every major news network will have copies of that USB drive. His campaign will implode on live television. And you'll be in federal lockup watching it happen. Vale's eyes widened. "You can't do that. If you release that information, you'll compromise an ongoing FBI investigation." "What FBI investigation?" Dot's voice was sharp. "The FBI handler protecting me is dead. Coulson had him killed. You think I trust federal law enforcement after that? This evidence goes to the media. All of it. Tonight." Tyler pulled out his laptop. "I can upload it right now. Send it to every news outlet in the country." James nodded. "Do it." Tyler's hands shook as he connected the USB drive. The files loaded. Bank records, audio recordings, photographs, witness statements. Everything Dot had gathered over 3 months of dangerous investigation. "How do we know we can trust the media?" Tyler asked. "We don't," James said. "But we send it to enough outlets, to enough different reporters, and at least one of them will run it. Coulson can't silence everyone." Dot leaned over Tyler's shoulder, helped him compose the email. She knew which journalists to trust, which networks would run the story despite political pressure. They sent the files to 27 different recipients. "How long before it goes public?" Tyler asked. "Could be hours, could be days," Dot said. "Depends on how fast they verify the evidence. But once one network runs it, they all will." State police arrived 18 minutes later. Then FBI. Then U.S. Marshals. Tyler's small Iowa farm became a crime scene with federal jurisdiction. Vale and his team were arrested on the spot. Attempted murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, illegal weapons possession. The charges kept growing as investigators processed the scene. An FBI agent approached James. "Mr. Sullivan, we need to ask you and your mother some questions." "Talk to our lawyer." "Sir, this is a federal investigation, and my mother has been shot, thrown from the moving vehicle, and held hostage for 5 days while your agency sat on its hands. She'll give a statement when she's ready. Through counsel. Not before." The agent looked like he wanted to argue, but thought better of it when he saw 2,000 bikers watching his every move. Dot was loaded into an ambulance despite her protests. "I'm fine. Tyler already treated everything." The paramedic examining her shoulder wound looked shocked. "Ma'am, whoever stitched this up did professional-grade work. You sure a farm kid did this?" "I taught him well," Tyler said from outside the ambulance. "And I've had a lot of practice on cattle." James pulled Tyler aside while medical personnel swarmed Dot. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About what happens next. You just went to war with a U.S. senator. You think he's going to let that go?" Tyler's stomach dropped. He hadn't thought past keeping Dot alive. "What do you mean?" "I mean, Coulson is going to come after you. Soon as he figures out who helped my mother survive, you become a target." James's expression was serious. "You can't stay here alone. Not safe anymore." "This is my home. My parents built this farm. I'm not abandoning it."
I'm not asking you to abandon it. I'm asking you to let us protect it. And you. How? James gestured to the assembled bikers. We set up a rotating watch, 24/7. Nobody gets on this property without us knowing. We keep you safe until Coulson is behind bars. Tyler wanted to refuse, wanted to prove he could handle it alone. But the truth was, he'd barely survived 5 days against Vale's team. Coulson would send worse next time. Okay, Tyler said quietly. Thank you. Don't thank me. You saved my mother's life. We protect our own, and your family now. Those words hit Tyler harder than anything else that night. Family. He'd been alone for 2 years, and now this biker, this stranger, was claiming him as family. A news van pulled up, then another. Word was spreading fast. Reporters were shouting questions, cameras were rolling. James sighed. This is going to get worse before it gets better. He wasn't wrong. By midnight, Tyler's farm was surrounded by media, federal agents, and what felt like half of Iowa law enforcement. Generators powered floodlights, yellow crime scene tape stretched across his property. Tyler sat on his porch steps, exhausted beyond words. James sat next to him, equally drained. Your mom is going to be okay, Tyler said. Doctors said the bullet wound is healing clean, no infection. She'll make a full recovery. Because of you. James was quiet for a moment. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why'd you do it? You didn't know her anything. You could have called the cops and walked away clean. Tyler thought about his parents, about the accident that took them, about being 19 and alone and wondering if anything he did mattered. She asked me to hide her. She said, please. I couldn't say no. James laughed softly. That's it? She said, please? My dad used to say the measure of a man is what he does when nobody's watching, when there's no reward, when it costs him everything. He said you help because it's right, not because it's easy. Tyler's voice caught. I wanted to make him proud, wherever he is. James put a hand on Tyler's shoulder. He'd be proud, kid. I guarantee it. They sat in comfortable silence as the chaos continued around them. FBI agents photographed evidence. Paramedics treated Dot in the ambulance. Reporters recorded stand-ups with Tyler's barn burning in the background. Vale had managed to set a small fire before James arrived. Tyler's phone buzzed. A news alert. Senator Coulson's campaign denies corruption allegations. Already spinning. Already lying. Tyler felt rage build in his chest. They're going to try to bury this, he said. James checked his own phone. They can try, but look. He showed Tyler his screen. The evidence files had already been downloaded 11,000 times, shared across social media. Journalists were dissecting bank records in real time. It's going viral, James said. By morning, every person in America will know Coulson's name, and not the way he wanted. At 2:47 a.m., Tyler's phone rang. Unknown number. Don't answer, James warned. Tyler answered anyway. Hello? A cold voice. Tyler Brooks. You've made a serious mistake. Senator Coulson doesn't forget. Neither do his friends. Enjoy what time you have left. The line went dead. Tyler's hand shook. James grabbed the phone, checked the call log. They're trying to scare you. It's what they do when they're losing. It's working. Good. Fear keeps you sharp, but don't let it control you. James stood, addressed his assembled bikers. Listen up. Tyler Brooks just received a death threat. I want eyes on this farm 24/7. I want scouts on every access road.
I want counter-surveillance watching for any vehicle that doesn't belong. Nobody gets within a mile of this kid without us knowing. Clear? 2,000 voices. Clear! Tyler felt something he hadn't felt in 2 years. Safety. Protection. The knowledge that he wasn't alone anymore. Dot emerged from the ambulance, against medical advice. She walked to Tyler and James, moving stiffly, but under her own power. "Mom, you should be resting. I'll rest when I'm dead." Dot sat on the porch step between them. "Tyler, I need to tell you something." "What?" "The FBI ran background on you tonight."
Standard procedure for a witness. Dot's expression was pained.
"They found something about your parents' accident."
Tyler's blood went cold. What about it?
"It wasn't an accident."
The world tilted. Tyler couldn't breathe. What?
"Your parents witnessed something 2 years ago. A land deal between Senator Colson and a development corporation. Illegal rezoning, environmental violations, bribery. Your father was a witness. He was going to testify."
No. No, that's not. They died in a farming accident. Equipment malfunction.
"The equipment was sabotaged."
Dot's voice was gentle but firm.
"FBI found evidence tonight in Colson's files. He ordered your parents killed to silence them. Vale's team made it look like an accident."
Tyler stood, stumbled, sat back down. James caught him.
"That can't be true. It can't. I'm sorry, Tyler. I'm so sorry."
Tyler's grief, carefully contained for 2 years, broke open. His parents hadn't died randomly. They'd been murdered, killed because they'd tried to do the right thing. Just like Tyler had tried to do the right thing, saving Dot. James's voice was low and dangerous. Colson killed this kid's parents? 2 years ago, May 15th, 2022. James looked at Tyler with new understanding. You saved my mother from the same man who murdered your parents, and you didn't even know it. Tyler was crying now, unable to stop.
"I could have saved them. If I'd known, if I'd been there." "You were 17, Dot said firmly. "There was nothing you could have done. But Tyler, listen to me. You just avenged them. That USB drive, it has evidence of your parents' murder too. Colson is going down for everything, including what he did to your family."
Tyler looked up, tears streaming.
"They're really going to pay?" "Every single one of them."
Morning came. Tyler hadn't slept. None of them had. They sat on the porch watching the sun rise over Tyler's farm, over the assembled bikers, over the wreckage of 5 days of warfare. Tyler's phone buzzed. A news alert. Presidential candidate Colson's campaign implodes. Evidence of murder, bribery, and conspiracy released. Then another. FBI arrests Senator Richard Colson on federal murder charges. Then another. Colson denies all charges, blames political enemies. But the damage was done. By noon, every major network was running the story. By evening, Colson had withdrawn from the presidential race. By midnight, he was in federal custody without bond. Tyler watched it all unfold from his porch, surrounded by 2,000 bikers who'd become his family, sitting next to a woman he'd saved and a son who'd come to save her. "It's over," Dot said quietly. "It's not over," James corrected. "It's just beginning. Colson will face trial. Vale and his team will testify to save themselves. And Tyler here becomes the kid who took down a presidential candidate and avenged his parents in one move." Tyler shook his head. "I just wanted to help someone who needed it." "And that," Dot said, "is exactly why you succeeded." The media siege began at dawn. 17 news vans lined the access road to Tyler's farm by 6 a.m. Reporters with microphones, camera crews, satellite trucks broadcasting live. Tyler's face was on every network with the same headline: "Farm Boy Takes Down Presidential Candidate." Tyler watched from his kitchen window, feeling like an animal in a zoo. James stood next to him, drinking coffee like the circus outside was perfectly normal. "This is what happens when you become a hero," James said. "Everybody wants a piece of you." "I'm not a hero. I just didn't want someone to die on my property." "Tell them that. See if they care." A federal agent knocked on the door. Tyler recognized him from last night. Special Agent Morrison, FBI. No relation to the handler Coulson had killed, but the coincidence made everyone uncomfortable. "Mr. Brooks, we need to discuss your security situation." Tyler opened the door. "What about it?" Morrison glanced at the two bikers standing guard on the porch. "Senator Coulson has significant resources and dangerous connections. We'd like to place you in witness protection until the trial." "No." "Mr. Brooks, this isn't optional. You're a material witness in a federal murder case." "I said no." Tyler's voice was harder than he felt. "I'm not leaving my farm. I'm not hiding. You want me to testify? I'll testify. But I'm doing it from here." Morrison looked frustrated. "You received a death threat last night. We have credible intelligence that Coulson's associates are planning retaliation. Witness protection is the only way to guarantee your safety." James spoke up. "He's got 2,000 armed guards outside. I think he's covered." "With all due respect, Mr. Sullivan, your organization isn't law enforcement. We can't guarantee." "We've been protecting our own since before you were born, Agent Morrison. Tyler stays here, under our watch. You got a problem with that? Take it up with my lawyer." Morrison sighed, pulled out a business card. "When they come for you, and they will, call this number. We'll respond immediately." "If they come for me," Tyler said. "They won't make it past the property line." After Morrison left, Dot emerged from the guest bedroom Tyler had given her. She was moving better today, color returning to her face. The doctors had cleared her to recover at home as long as someone monitored her wounds. "You shouldn't antagonize the FBI," she told Tyler. "He wanted me to disappear. I can't run my farm from witness protection." "You might not have a farm to run." Dot handed him a stack of papers she'd found on his kitchen table. "You're 3 months behind on your mortgage. The bank sent a foreclosure notice last week." Tyler's stomach dropped. He'd been so focused on survival that he'd forgotten about the bills piling up. The burned crops from the SUV crash, the destroyed equipment, 5 days of not working. It had all added up. "How much do you owe?" $87,000 on the mortgage. Another 30 in equipment loans, 15 in back taxes. Tyler sat down heavily. "I can't pay it. I barely made enough to eat this year, and now half my crops are destroyed." James was already on his phone. "What's the total?" "Why?" "Because we're paying it." Tyler stood up fast. "No, absolutely not. I'm not taking charity." "It's not charity. It's repayment. You saved my mother's life. Her life is worth more than $132,000. I didn't do it for money." "I know. That's why we're giving it to you." James's tone left no room for argument. "Club's taking a vote tonight. We pay off your farm, rebuild what Vale destroyed, and set you up with operating capital for next year. You vote against it, you lose. Democracy in action." Dot touched Tyler's arm. "Let them help. You've been alone too long." Tyler wanted to refuse, wanted to prove he could handle it himself, but the truth was crushing. He couldn't. The farm was dying, and he was dying with it. "Okay," he said quietly.
Thank you.
James made a call. Yeah, it's me. I need $150,000 wired to... Tyler, what's your bank? By noon, Tyler's debts were paid. The foreclosure was canceled. His bank account, which had held $947 that morning, now showed enough money to survive the next year, even if he didn't plant a single seed. Tyler sat on his porch, staring at the bank statement on his phone, and cried. Not from sadness, from relief so overwhelming he couldn't contain it. Dot sat next to him. Your parents would be proud. My parents are dead because of Coulson. The words tasted like poison. 2 years I thought it was an accident. 2 years I blamed myself for not being there. And it was murder the whole time. You couldn't have stopped it. I could have tried. Dot turned Tyler's face toward hers. Listen to me. You were 17 years old. What were you going to do against Vale and his team? Die with them? That's what would have happened. At least I wouldn't be alone. No, you'd be dead. And then you wouldn't have been here to save me. And Coulson would still be running for president. And your parents' deaths would have meant nothing. Dot's voice was fierce. You survived for a reason, Tyler. You survived so you could be here, now, doing this. Finishing what your parents started. Tyler wiped his eyes. How do you do it? How do you forgive what Curtis did to you? I don't forgive. I endure. There's a difference. Dot's expression softened. My older son tried to kill me for money. That's a pain that doesn't heal. But I have James. I have my club family. And now I have you. I focus on what I have, not what I lost. I don't know how to do that. You will. Give it time. A black sedan pulled up to the property line. 2 men in suits emerged, carrying briefcases. The bikers on guard duty immediately blocked their path. We need to speak with Tyler Brooks, one of the men called out. James walked down to meet them. Who are you? Attorneys for Senator Coulson. We're here to offer Mr. Brooks a settlement. Tyler joined James. A settlement for what? The lawyer, mid-50s, expensive suit, predatory smile, pulled out documents. Senator Coulson deeply regrets the misunderstanding that occurred on your property. He's prepared to offer you $500,000 in exchange for your agreement not to testify at his trial. Tyler laughed. Misunderstanding? Your client tried to have someone murdered on my farm. That's a matter of interpretation. The evidence is circumstantial at best. But to avoid further conflict, the senator is willing to compensate you for damages and emotional distress. And all I have to do is keep my mouth shut? Simply sign an agreement stating you won't participate in the prosecution's case. You keep the money, go back to farming, and this all goes away. James stepped between Tyler and the lawyer. You're offering him a bribe to obstruct justice. That's a federal crime. The lawyer smiled. It's a settlement. Perfectly legal. Mr. Brooks has no obligation to testify. Fifth Amendment and all that. Tyler looked at the check the lawyer was holding. $500,000. More money than he'd see in 10 years of farming. Enough to rebuild everything, buy new equipment, never worry about foreclosure again. And if I say no? Then you'll testify at a trial that could last months. You'll be cross-examined by attorneys far more experienced than anyone you've ever met. They'll pick apart every detail of your story. They'll question your credibility, your motives, your mental state. They'll turn you into the villain. Let them try. The lawyer's smile faded. Mr. Brooks, you seem like a nice young man. Don't throw your life away for a woman you barely know. Take the money. Move on. Tyler grabbed the check, looked at it for a long moment, then tore it in half. Get off my property before I have you arrested for witness intimidation. The lawyers left. James clapped Tyler on the shoulder. That was stupid and brave in equal measure. I respect it. They were trying to buy my silence about my parents' murder, about Dot's kidnapping, about 14 other victims. Tyler's hands shook with rage. I'm not for sale. Good, because the trial's going to be hell. Coulson's legal team is the best money can buy. They'll come at you with everything. I don't care. You should. They'll dig up every mistake you've ever made, every unpaid parking ticket, every fight in high school, every embarrassing photo. They'll paint you as an opportunist trying to get famous. Tyler met James's eyes. Will it work? Not if you tell the truth. Juries aren't stupid. They'll see what kind of man you are. That afternoon, FBI agents arrived with more news. Rodriguez had started cooperating, and his testimony was devastating. He'd confessed to 12 murders on Coulson's orders over the past 3 years. Each victim had been a witness or whistleblower trying to expose Coulson's corruption. Your parents were victims number 4 and 5, Agent Morrison told Tyler. Rodriguez has evidence, photos, communications, payment records. He kept everything as insurance. Tyler felt sick. Why? Why keep evidence of his own crimes? Because men like Vale eventually turn on their employers. Rodriguez was smart enough to protect himself. Now that protection is putting Coulson away for life. How long until trial? Federal murder cases move slow. We're looking at 18 months minimum. 18 months? Tyler's voice rose. Coulson sits in prison for 18 months and then what? He gets out on bail? No bail for capital murder charges. He'll stay in custody until verdict. And Vale? Vale's fighting extradition. Claims he was following orders and should have immunity. It won't work, but it'll delay things. Tyler wanted to scream. 18 months of waiting while lawyers argued technicalities. 18 months of looking over his shoulder for Coulson's remaining allies. That night, Tyler couldn't sleep. He walked his property in the dark, surrounded by bikers on watch duty. The farm was quiet except for cattle and the low murmur of men talking around fires they'd built for warmth. Tyler found James sitting alone, staring at the stars. Can't sleep either? James asked. Too much in my head. Yeah, I know that feeling. James offered Tyler a beer. After Afghanistan, I didn't sleep right for 3 years. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back in Kandahar watching my friends die. How'd you get past it? I didn't. I just learned to live with it. James took a long drink. The club helped, gave me purpose, something to protect, brothers who understood without me having to explain. Is that why you do this? Help people? We help our own. You're our own now. James looked at Tyler. You remind me of myself at your age. Angry, alone, desperate to prove you don't need anybody. But here's the thing, kid. You do need people. We all do. That's not weakness. That's being human. Tyler sat down next to him. I don't know how to let people in. I've been alone since I was 17. I'm used to handling everything myself. That stops now. You've got 2,000 brothers watching your back. Use them. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Tyler asked the question that had been bothering him for days. Why does your mom stay involved? She could retire, disappear, live safely somewhere. Why risk everything to take down Coulson? James's expression hardened. Because Mom's seen too much corruption go unpunished. She worked ER for 30 years. You know how many victims came through those doors because rich men got away with crimes? How many women beaten by husbands the police wouldn't arrest? How many addicts suffering because pharma companies pushed opioids for profit? She wanted to change things. She wanted justice, Real justice, not the kind rich people buy in courtrooms. James's voice was rough with emotion. When she witnessed Coulson murder that whistleblower, she finally had proof that the system was broken. She wasn't going to let it go. Even if it cost her life? Especially then. Mom always said, if you're not willing to die for what you believe in, you don't really believe it. Tyler understood that. His parents had believed in doing the right thing, and it had killed them. Now Tyler was carrying that torch, whether he wanted to or not. At 3 a.m., Tyler's phone rang. Unknown number again. "Don't answer," James warned. Tyler answered. "What?" A voice distorted by electronic modulation. "Tyler Brooks, you made a mistake refusing our offer. Now you'll watch everything you love burn, starting with that biker trash you're protecting." The line went dead. Tyler's blood went cold. They just threatened Dot. James was already on his feet, barking orders. "Full lockdown! Nobody in or out! Eyes on all approaches!" Bikers scrambled into defensive positions. Headlights went dark. Engines stayed ready for quick starts. The farm transformed into a military base in under 2 minutes. Tyler ran to the guest bedroom where Dot was sleeping. She was already awake, sitting up with a pistol in her hand. "I heard," she said calmly. "They're coming?" "Maybe. I don't know." Tyler checked the windows, saw nothing but darkness and bikers. "James has the whole property locked down." "Good, then we wait." They waited for 2 hours. Nothing happened. No attack came. Just the threat, hanging in the air like poison. At dawn, Agent Morrison arrived with 2 FBI tactical teams. "We intercepted communications," Morrison said. "Coulson's people are planning something. We don't know what or when, but chatter suggests imminent action against witnesses." "What kind of action?" "The kind that leaves witnesses unable to testify." James pulled Morrison aside. Tyler could hear their heated conversation through the window. "Your agency failed to protect my mother, failed to protect your own handler. Now you want us to trust you'll protect Tyler? Mr. Sullivan, we have resources your club doesn't. We have 2,000 men who'll die before they let anyone harm this kid. Can your agency say the same?" Morrison had no answer. Tyler's lawyer arrived mid-morning, a woman named Sarah Chen, who specialized in witness protection and federal cases. James had hired her personally. "Tyler, we need to discuss your testimony strategy," Sarah said, spreading files across the kitchen table. "Coulson's defense team is going to attack your credibility relentlessly. We need to prepare you." "How do they attack me? I'm telling the truth." "Truth doesn't matter if the jury doesn't believe you. They'll argue you're after fame, money, revenge. They'll paint you as an unstable young man with a grudge against authority." "That's ridiculous." "That's legal strategy. They'll bring up your parents' deaths, suggest you're projecting your grief onto Coulson. They'll question why you didn't call police immediately when you found Dot. They'll imply you were holding her hostage, trying to extort money from her son." Tyler felt sick. Can they do that? They can argue anything. Whether it works depends on how well you testify. Sarah fixed him with a hard stare. "I need to know right now. Is there anything in your past they can use against you? Any arrests, drugs, violence, anything?" "No. I've been farming since I was 17. No time for trouble." "Debts?" "Paid off as of yesterday." "Relationships? Ex-girlfriends who might say you're unstable?" Tyler laughed bitterly. "I haven't had a girlfriend since high school. Been too busy trying not to lose the farm." Sarah nodded, making notes. "That actually helps. You're sympathetic. Young, orphaned, struggling to survive. Jury will relate to that." "I'm not trying to be sympathetic. I'm trying to tell the truth." "Truth is good. Sympathy is better. We use both. Over the next week, Sarah drilled Tyler on testimony preparation, how to answer questions clearly, how to stay calm under cross-examination, how to avoid traps defense attorneys would set. They practiced for 6 hours a day, Sarah playing the role of hostile attorney, James watching silently from the corner, Dot offering encouragement when Tyler got frustrated. "Why did you hide Dorothy Sullivan instead of calling police?" "Because she asked me to. She said men were hunting her, and calling police would get her killed." "So you took the word of a stranger and chose to break the law?" "I chose to save a life." "Or did you choose to become a hero? To get famous? To profit from her suffering?" Tyler's temper flared. "I didn't know who she was. I didn't know about her son or the hellsangels or any of it. I just knew someone needed help." "So you say. But you expect us to believe a 19-year-old farm boy outsmarted 6 professional killers for 5 days? Isn't it more likely you're exaggerating, seeking attention?" Tyler started to snap back, but Sarah held up her hand. "Stop. You're getting emotional. That's exactly what they want. When defense goes after you like that, you stay calm. You answer simply. You don't defend yourself. Let the evidence do that." They ran it again, and again, and again, until Tyler could answer the most hostile questions without flinching. On day 8 after Colson's arrest, Rodriguez was found dead in his cell. Apparent suicide by hanging. But the FBI investigation found marks suggesting he'd been strangled first, then staged to look like suicide. Someone had silenced him before he could testify. Agent Morrison delivered the news personally. Rodriguez had protective custody, camera coverage, guard rotations. Someone still got to him. "How?" James demanded. "We're investigating, but the implications are clear. Colson has people inside the system, people willing to commit murder to protect him." Tyler felt fear crawl up his spine. "If they can kill Rodriguez in federal custody, what's stopping them from killing me?" "Nothing," Morrison admitted. "Which is why I'm formally recommending you disappear until trial. New identity, new location, complete protection." "No." "Mr. Brooks, Rodriguez died because he tried to hide. I'm not hiding. You want me alive until trial? Then do your job and protect me." Morrison looked at James. "Can you talk sense into him?" "He's making sense. Running makes him a target. Standing his ground with an army around him makes him too hard to kill." James's smile was predatory. "Colson's people want Tyler? They'll have to go through us. Good luck with that." Morrison left, frustrated and worried, as he should be. That night, Dot sat with Tyler on the porch. The media had finally dispersed, moving on to the next story. The farm was quiet again, except for biker patrols. "You're scared," Dot observed. "Yes." "Good. Fear keeps you alive. Just don't let it control you." "You sound like James." "I raised him. He sounds like me." Dot smiled. "Tyler, I need to tell you something. After the trial, after Colson's convicted, I'm moving here." Tyler looked at her in shock. "What?" "Not permanently, but I'm building a house on your property, if you'll let me. Somewhere I can see my son when he visits, somewhere safe, somewhere that reminds me good people still exist." "You want to live here? On my farm?" "If you'll have me. You saved my life. I'd like to spend what's left of it somewhere that matters." Tyler felt tears sting his eyes. "You don't have to. I want to. You've been alone too long. So have I." Dot took his hand. "We can be alone together. How's that sound?" "It sounds perfect." They sat together watching the stars, and for the first time in 2 years, Tyler Brooks didn't feel alone anymore. The trial was still coming. Coulson was still dangerous. More threats would come, more attempts on Tyler's life, more legal battles. But Tyler wasn't facing it alone. He had Dot and James and 2,000 brothers who'd ride through hell itself to protect him. And that made all the difference. The trial date arrived 14 months later, not 18. Federal prosecutors pushed hard, arguing that Coulson's connections made him a flight risk despite custody. The judge agreed. Tyler sat in the witness room at the federal courthouse in Des Moines, wearing a suit James had bought him. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. Sarah Chin sat across from him, reviewing testimony one final time. Remember, answer only what they ask. Don't volunteer information. Don't let defense rattle you. You're not on trial here. Coulson is. What if I mess up? What if I say something wrong? Then we correct it. But Tyler, you're not going to mess up. You've practiced this 100 times. You know the truth. Just tell it. Dot appeared in the doorway, moving without any trace of her injuries now. 14 months of recovery had erased almost everything except the scar on her shoulder. "They're ready for you," she said softly. Tyler stood. His legs felt weak. James gripped his shoulder. "You've faced worse than lawyers. You survived Vail. You can survive this." The courtroom was packed. Media filled every available seat. Tyler recognized faces from TV news. Coulson sat at the defense table in an expensive suit, looking nothing like a murderer. He looked like a senator, dignified, confident, innocent. Tyler took the stand. The oath felt heavy on his tongue. The prosecutor, a woman named Rebecca Torres, started gentle. "Mr. Brooks, can you tell us what happened on the night of August 17th? Tyler took a breath. "I heard an explosion around midnight. Found a burning SUV in my cornfield. There was a woman inside, unconscious and injured. I pulled her out." "Did you know this woman?" "No, ma'am." "What happened next?" "She told me to hide her. Said men were hunting her, and if I called police, they'd kill her. So I hid her in my storm cellar and treated her injuries." "How did you treat her injuries?" "I used veterinary supplies. I've got training from 4-H. I stitched her gunshot wound, wrapped her broken ribs, administered antibiotics." "Why didn't you call the police?" "Because she asked me not to. She was terrified. I believed her." Torres presented evidence, photos of Dot's injuries, the burned SUV, Tyler's storm cellar, the USB drive contents displayed on massive screens showing bank records, recordings, proof of Coulson's crimes. Then came cross-examination. Coulson's lead attorney, a man named Harrison Webb, who charged $2,000 an hour, approached with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Brooks, you're 19 years old, correct?" 20 now, but yes, I was 19 then." "No college education?" "Not yet. I'm enrolled at Iowa State starting this fall." "Paid for by the Hellsangels Motorcycle Club?" Sarah objected. "Relevance?" The judge sustained it, but Webb had planted the seed, making Tyler look bought. Webb tried again. "Mr. Brooks, you testified that Dorothy Sullivan asked you to hide her. But isn't it true you were holding her hostage, keeping her hidden so you could negotiate a ransom from her wealthy son?" Tyler's temper flared, but he remembered Sarah's training. Stay calm. Answer simply. "No, sir. I never asked for money. Never wanted money. I wanted to keep her alive." "Yet you accepted over $150,000 from the Hells Angels after this incident." "They paid my farm debts. I didn't ask them to. They did it because I saved James Sullivan's mother." How convenient. You save a biker's mother, and suddenly your financial problems disappear.
Objection!
Torres was on her feet.
Counsel is testifying, not questioning.
Sustained. Mr. Webb, ask questions. Webb changed tactics. You claim 6 men came to your farm looking for Mrs. Sullivan. 6 professional killers. Yet you, a 19-year-old farmer with no combat training, held them off for 5 days. Does that strike you as believable?
I didn't fight them. I hid from them.
Used my knowledge of the property to avoid them. Or did you fabricate the threat to make yourself look heroic? Tyler met Webb's eyes. Marcus Vale and his team are in custody. Rodriguez is dead because someone silenced him. Those are facts, not fabrications. Webb's smile tightened. Rodriguez's death is under investigation. You have no proof it was related to this case. I have common sense. Rodriguez was going to testify against your client. Now he's dead. Connect the dots. The jury murmured. Webb's face reddened. Your Honor, I ask that the witness's speculation be stricken. Denied. The witness may answer as he sees fit. The judge looked at Tyler with something like approval. Webb spent 2 more hours trying to break Tyler's story, questioning every detail, suggesting inconsistencies that didn't exist, painting Tyler as an opportunist seeking fame. Tyler held firm, answered every question, never wavered. When he finally stepped down, Sarah squeezed his arm. You did great. Dot testified next. She described witnessing Coulson murder the whistleblower, described being kidnapped, shot, thrown from a moving vehicle, described Tyler saving her life. Webb tried to shake her, too. Mrs. Sullivan, you're the mother of a notorious motorcycle club president. You expect us to believe you're an innocent victim? Dot's voice was ice. I'm a retired nurse who witnessed a murder. My son's occupation doesn't change what I saw. Your son's occupation is leading a criminal organization. My son is a decorated Marine who served his country with honor. The Hells Angels gave him purpose when the government that sent him to war abandoned him. You want to demonize them? Go ahead. But it won't change the fact that your client is a murderer. The courtroom erupted. The judge gavelled for order. Webb had made a mistake attacking James, and the jury's faces showed it. James testified about receiving Dot's coded messages, about organizing the rescue, about finding her alive on Tyler's farm. His testimony was measured, controlled, powerful. Webb barely touched him. You didn't cross-examine a decorated veteran in front of a jury unless you had a death wish. Vale testified next, brought in wearing prison orange and shackles. He'd taken a plea deal, 30 years in exchange for full cooperation. His testimony destroyed Coulson. Senator Coulson hired me in 2020 to handle problems. Whistleblowers, witnesses, anyone who threatened his political career. I eliminated 14 targets over 3 years. Dorothy Sullivan was supposed to be number 15. Did Senator Coulson order you to kill her? Yes. Gave me her address, her routine, everything. Told me to make it look like an accident. Why didn't you? We tried. Ran her off the road, but she survived. We lost track of her for 5 days. By the time we found her again, the Hells Angels had mobilized. Game over. Webb's cross was brutal. Mr. Vale, you're a convicted murderer facing 30 years in prison. You'd say anything to reduce your sentence. I'm saying what happened. You want to call me a liar? Fine, but the evidence backs up everything I've testified to. Chen testified next, one of Vale's team who'd also taken a deal. His testimony matched Vale's word for word. The prosecution rested after 2 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. Bank records showing payments from Coulson to Vale, recordings of Coulson ordering hits, witness statements, forensic evidence. The defense tried to argue Coulson was framed, that Vale had acted independently, that the recordings were doctored. But it was desperate, transparent, doomed. The jury deliberated for 11 hours. Tyler sat in a courthouse hallway with Dot and James, waiting. Every minute felt like an hour. His entire future hung on 12 strangers deciding if they believed him. "What if they don't convict?" Tyler asked. "They will," Dot said firmly. "But what if, then we appeal? We retry. We fight until justice is done." James's voice was hard. "Coulson doesn't walk. Not after everything." At 4:37 p.m., the jury returned. The courtroom packed again. Tyler sat directly behind the prosecution table. Coulson sat perfectly still, face unreadable. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" "We have, Your Honor. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of federal agent Thomas Morrison, how do you find?" "Guilty." The courtroom exploded. Tyler felt tears burn his eyes. "On the charge of attempted murder of Dorothy Sullivan, how do you find?" "Guilty." Dot gripped Tyler's hand so hard it hurt. The verdicts continued. Guilty on all counts. 15 murders, conspiracy, bribery, racketeering. The judge had to gavel repeatedly to maintain order. Coulson's face finally cracked. For just a moment, Tyler saw fear. Sentencing came 3 weeks later. The judge, a woman named Patricia Howard, who'd served on the bench for 20 years, looked at Coulson with open disgust. "Senator Coulson, you used your position of power to murder innocent people. You corrupted our justice system. You destroyed families. You represent everything wrong with unchecked authority." She paused. "I hereby sentence you to 15 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. You will die in prison." Coulson stood. "This is a miscarriage of justice. I was framed by political enemies." "You were convicted by evidence and testimony. Appeals are your right, but this court finds you guilty and sentences you accordingly. Remove him." Marshals led Coulson away. He looked back once at Tyler, and his eyes promised revenge even from prison. Tyler didn't care. Coulson was finished. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. Tyler stood at a podium with Sarah, Dot, and James flanking him. "Justice was served today," Tyler said into the microphones. "Not just for Dot Sullivan, but for my parents. For Agent Morrison. For 14 other victims who can't speak for themselves. Senator Coulson will spend the rest of his life in prison, and that's exactly where he belongs." "Tyler, what's next for you?" a reporter called out. "I'm going to college. I'm going to farm. I'm going to live the life my parents wanted for me. And I'm going to make sure their deaths meant something." The media coverage was overwhelming. Tyler's face appeared on every network. Think pieces about rural heroism, about corruption in politics, about unlikely heroes. Book deals and movie offers poured in. Tyler refused them all. "I'm not doing this for money or fame," he told Sarah when she presented the offers. "I did what was right. That's the story. Nothing more." 6 months after the trial, Dot's house was completed. A small cottage built on Tyler's property, 200 yards from his farmhouse. She moved in on a Saturday, with James helping carry boxes. "You know you didn't have to build a whole house," Tyler said. "You could have just stayed in the guest room." "I'm 73 years old. I need my own space. Besides, this way I can watch over you without smothering you." Tyler laughed. "You've never smothered anyone in your life." "Exactly. and I'm not starting now. They established a routine. Dot cooked Sunday dinners, huge meals that fed Tyler, James when he visited, and whatever bikers were on property doing maintenance. Tyler helped with her garden, taught her modern farming technology, treated her like the mother he'd lost. She treated him like the son Curtis should have been. One evening, Dot asked Tyler about his parents. "Tell me about them. I want to know who raised such a good man." Tyler talked for an hour about his dad teaching him to farm, to fix equipment, to solve problems with creativity instead of money. About his mom's kindness, her laugh, her absolute insistence that you helped people who needed it. "They sound wonderful," Dot said softly. "They were. I just wish I could have saved them the way I saved you." "Tyler, you were 17. There was nothing you could have done." "I know. But knowing doesn't make it hurt less." Dot took his hand. "Your parents didn't die for nothing. They died because they stood up against corruption, just like I did. Their courage gave you courage. That's their legacy." Tyler enrolled at Iowa State that fall, studying agricultural engineering. James paid tuition, despite Tyler's protests. The farm ran smoothly, with help from bikers who showed up on weekends to assist. Tyler commuted from the farm, refusing to live in dorms. He needed his land, his space, his memories. He was a campus celebrity, whether he wanted to be or not, the kid who took down a senator. Professors knew his name. Students asked for selfies. Tyler hated the attention but endured it. He made real friends eventually, people who saw past the headlines to the farm kid who just wanted to learn and work hard, people who didn't care about his 15 minutes of fame. The annual Guardians Ride launched that October. James organized it, a massive motorcycle rally at Tyler's farm, raising money for rural security systems and emergency response. 3,000 bikers showed up the first year. They raised $473,000 in one weekend. The money funded security cameras for isolated farms, emergency radios, trauma kits, everything rural communities needed to protect themselves. Tyler spoke at the event. "My parents died because help was too far away. Dot almost died because she had nowhere safe to hide. We're changing that. One farm, one family, one community at a time." The crowd roared approval. By year 3, the Guardians Ride had raised over $2 million and expanded to 6 states. Rural crime dropped measurably in areas where security systems were installed. Lives were saved. Tyler graduated Iowa State with honors at 23. Dot attended in a wheelchair now, age and old injuries catching up, but her mind was sharp as ever. "Your parents would burst with pride," she told him after the ceremony. "I hope so. I did this for them." "No, honey. You did this for you. They'd want that even more." James offered Tyler a position with the club. "We need smart people. You could do real good." Tyler declined gently. "My place is here, on the farm, doing what my parents built. But I'll always help however I can." "I know you will. That's why I offered." Tyler was 25 when Dot's Alzheimer's diagnosis came. Early stage, manageable, but progressive. She would forget eventually, lose herself piece by piece. Tyler moved her into his farmhouse, converted the downstairs into accessible space, hired nurses, devoted himself to her care the way she'd devoted herself to saving the world. "You don't have to do this," Dot said during a lucid moment. "I have James. I have resources." "Your family. You stay here, with me." She cried, and Tyler held her, and neither of them needed to say what they both knew. She'd saved him by giving him purpose. He'd saved her by giving her hope. They'd saved each other in all the ways that mattered. James visited every weekend. He and Tyler would sit on the porch while Doc napped, talking about everything and nothing. The biker and the farmer. Brothers in all but blood. "You ever regret it?" James asked one evening. "Getting involved? Your life would have been simpler if you'd just called the cops that night." Tyler considered this. "My life would have been emptier. I'd have the farm, but I wouldn't have you. Or Dot. Or 2,000 brothers I can call if I need help. I wouldn't have purpose beyond survival." "You think purpose is worth the cost?" "I think purpose is the only thing worth anything." James nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think so too." Tyler was 28 when Dot passed, peacefully in her sleep in the house she'd built on land she loved. James was there. Tyler was there. She wasn't alone. The funeral drew 5,000 people. Bikers from every state, politicians who'd been inspired by her courage, ordinary people whose lives she'd touched. The line of motorcycles stretched for 17 miles. Tyler gave the eulogy. "Dot Sullivan was a nurse, a mother, a fighter, and my friend. She taught me that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up. She showed up for justice. She showed up for truth. She showed up for me when I needed her most. And now it's our job to show up for each other the way she taught us." They buried her on Tyler's farm under an oak tree she'd loved. Her headstone read, "Dorothy Sullivan, nurse, mother, warrior. She showed up." Tyler was 31 when the phone rang late one night. James's voice strained. "I need help. Can you come?" Tyler didn't ask questions. "Where?" "An address in South Dakota. A biker in trouble. No one else to turn to." Tyler drove through the night, arrived at dawn, and spent 3 days helping James extract a club member from a dangerous situation. They didn't discuss it afterward. Tyler just went home, went back to farming, lived his life. That's what family did. Showed up. No questions, no conditions. Tyler was 34 when a young woman appeared at his farm, 20 years old, terrified, running from an abusive ex-boyfriend who'd threatened to kill her. "I heard you help people," she said. "Please, I have nowhere else to go." Tyler let her stay in Dot's old cottage, called James. Within 6 hours, 20 bikers arrived to ensure the ex-boyfriend understood what would happen if he came near her. The woman stayed 3 months, healed, found her strength, moved on to rebuild her life. She wasn't the last. Word spread. Tyler's farm became a refuge for people with nowhere else to turn. Abuse victims, whistleblowers, witnesses needing protection, people who'd done the right thing and paid the price. Tyler helped them all. Because that's what Dot had taught him. You show up. The farm thrived. Tyler expanded to 600 acres, employed 12 people, became one of the most successful agricultural operations in Iowa. He never forgot where he came from. Never forgot the scared 19-year-old who almost lost everything. He was 42 when James called with news. "Curtis died in prison. Heart attack." Tyler waited for Dot's other son's death to affect him. It didn't. Curtis had made his choices, lived with consequences, died with them. "How do you feel?" Tyler asked. "Relieved, mostly. He can't hurt anyone else now." James was quiet. "I think about what he could have been if he'd made different choices. But that's all they were, choices. He chose wrong, over and over. Dot forgave him. Dot was better than both of us." They sat in silence, remembering a woman who taught them both what courage looked like.
Tyler was 45 when he established the Dorothy Sullivan Foundation, a nonprofit providing security, legal help, and financial support to rural witnesses who stood up against corruption. Funded entirely by the Guardian's Ride and private donations, the foundation helped 217 people in its first year, prevented 12 murders, put 34 criminals behind bars. Tyler ran it from his farm, never taking a salary, never seeking recognition. He was doing what Dot had taught him. Showing up.
At 51, Tyler stood at Dot's grave with James, both men graying now, both showing their years. The Guardian's Ride was happening around them. 8,000 bikers this year, over $6 million raised. "She'd be proud," James said. "She'd tell us we're not doing enough." James laughed. "Yeah, she would." They stood in comfortable silence, two men bonded by crisis, family by choice, brothers in every way that mattered. "Tyler, you ever regret it? That night you found her?" Tyler looked out over his farm, the land his parents had built, the refuge he'd created, the legacy Dot had inspired. "Not for 1 second. She gave me purpose, taught me what courage looks like, showed me that one person can change everything if they're willing to stand up." "You changed everything for her, too." "We changed everything for each other. That's how family works." James nodded. "Yeah, that's exactly how it works." Tyler Brooks had been 19 years old, orphaned, alone, and broke when he pulled Dorothy Sullivan from that burning SUV. He'd been terrified, overwhelmed, certain he'd die trying to protect a stranger. Instead, he'd found family, purpose, a reason to fight that went beyond simple survival. Dot had taught him that heroism wasn't about strength or weapons or dramatic gestures. It was about showing up when someone needed help. It was about keeping promises even when it cost everything. It was about choosing courage over comfort, justice over safety, family over blood. Tyler had shown up that night for Dot, and for the rest of his life, he showed up for everyone else who needed him. Because that's what Dot had taught him. You show up. Always.